Hello, I'm Hilton Johnson and I teach people how to sell. I write a biz tip each month by email that's free, and from time to time I get comments from people or questions. And recently I got a voicemail on my telephone from a doctor out in Arizona, Dr. Anthony. I won't use his last name, but it starts with a P. And he said, Hilton, in your last biz tip that I read, you said that you should use the business strategy or sales strategy of the takeaway. Conveying to people that you're presenting to that you really don't care that much if they buy or not. Well, Hilton, what about the old saying that, people don't care what you know until they know that you care? How do you balance the two? Well, I want to address that, doctor, but first of all, I want to ask you, how did you get my voicemail? I don't normally give that out. But you got to me, so I'll answer your question. Actually, you're talking about three things here. You're talking about the business of showing people that you care about them, that you're sincere, that you have integrity, and that you are a person of good intentions. And you have a situation where you're using a business strategy called the takeaway, or you might call it reverse psychology, where it conveys to the person you don't care if they buy from you or not. And sprinkled in with that is qualifying. Now we're going to talk a lot more about qualifying on a future video, but for right now, let's talk about this thing about caring. First of all, this whole thing about conveying that you care about a prospect is overrated. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go into somebody's home, say a married couple, and you're there to give them a presentation, and you say things like, oh, you have a lovely home here. I just admire this whole neighborhood. And I noticed the landscaping outside. Boy, what a fine job you guys did. Is this your little puppy here? Oh, does he bite? May I pet him? Oh, I love dogs. That is so phony. I feel like throwing up when I hear people doing that. The prospect sees right through it. And they can tell that you are BSing them and you're trying to build this phony rapport stuff to show that you care so they'll like you and want to do business with you. It's too soon for that. If you're going to do multiple presentations, or you're going to make multiple sales over a period of time, and you're going to really know these people and have a relationship, that'll happen automatically. But in the beginning of presentation, conveying that you care will work against you. It'll blow up on you. But there's a way that you can still convey that you care by being genuine. For example, by asking questions about what their needs are. In selling, there's a couple of things you need to know. One, before you give a presentation, is there an interest here? Or if not, can you create an interest with your questions? You can do that, and we're going to talk about that on another video as well. And also, do they have the ability to pay? And by you asking questions around those two things, will convey to your prospect that you do care. And if you've ever been listening to my CDs on Selling by Attraction, you'll see that I spend a great deal of time on what we call buffers and easy exits that convey to the prospects that we're not going to high pressure them or manipulate them in any way. But one of the most powerful sales strategies I've ever seen, ever used, and I guess 50 years of being in sales, folks, is the technique of the takeaway or reverse psychology. And it conveys to the prospect that you don't really care that much if they buy. You want them to buy, you care some, but not to the extent that you come across as desperate. So how do you do that? Well, you begin your presentation maybe by saying something like, folks, with your permission, I'll show my program to you, and if you like it, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too. See, that shows you care, but that you're not desperate. At the end of your presentation, you can say, hey folks, this is the whole program. If you have any questions, we can talk about the next step to go forward. And if there's more information, let me know. I'll be glad to provide it for you. If they say something in the beginning of your presentation like, well, we'll take a look at your program, but we don't have the money or the time to be involved in something like this right now. You come back and convey that you don't care that much by saying, not a problem. My job is to explain the program to you. If you decide sometime now or in the future that this may be right for you, hey, you got the information. No hard feelings whatsoever. I'll just show the program to you. See what that does? It takes the pressure off the presentation, because when you're going through a presentation, if you're being very salesy, manipulative, and razzle-dazzle, and very positive, and excited, and exclamation points throughout your presentation, you're conveying that you're jamming this down their throat. And people have a natural sales resistance to that. So overall, you balance the two, doctor, by doing questions in the beginning of your presentation, giving people an opportunity to say no throughout your presentation, demonstrating you care by backing off if there's any resistance, and by letting them know they can say no to you at any part of the presentation. All that shows that you care. At the same time, it conveys to them, hey, if my program is good for you, I hope you decide to buy it, but if not, no hard feelings. You know, you're conveying, you don't say this, I'm not dependent on any one sale. That's how you do it, Doctor. I hope that was helpful. I'm Hilton Johnson, and if you'd like to get my biz tip, go to SalesU, SALESU as in university, salesu.com, and sign up for my biz tips. Thank you.